good to be back in Nevada. Do not worry, I will not try to sing like John Legend. I can't do that. No. I can sing, but not like John Legend. Now, let me say first of all, whenever I come to Vegas, the hardest part is getting my team to leave. Somebody's always late for the ride to the airport. They're looking a little ragged, a little bleary-eyed. You know, sometimes they're always a little late. But the reason I'm here is simple. I'm here to ask you to vote. I'm here to ask you to vote for your members of Congress, Dina Titus, Susie Lee, and my good friend Stephen Horsford. I need you to vote for your next Secretary of State, Cisco Aguilar, for your Attorney General, Aaron Ford, for your outstanding Governor, Steve Sisolak, and to send Catherine Cortez Masto back to the United States Senate. And here in Nevada, you don't have to wait for November 8th to cast your ballot. You can vote early in person through November 4th at any early vote location in your county. You can drop your mail ballot off there, or you can just drop it in the mail. And you can vote at any polling place in your county on November 8th. There is no excuse, people. And if you have any confusion, if you're not quite clear, you can just go to iwillvote.com/NV. Find out where you need to go, and then make a plan. And then after you've made your plan, you got to help your family and friends make a plan to vote. Because, you know, they may want to vote, but, you know, Cousin Pookie, you know, your nephew Cesar, like they're planning, they tell you they're going to vote, but they're on their couch playing a video game. You got to talk to them. Don't just let them say, yeah, I'm going to vote. You got to take them with you if you vote early. Or if you vote in person on election day, take them with you. Because this election requires every single one of us to do our part. It's that important. Now, I think it's fair to say, that this country has gone through some tough times these past few years. We have been through some stuff. We're just now coming off a historic pandemic that wreaked havoc on families, on schools, businesses, communities. Everybody was impacted, some more than others. A lot of folks lost people that they loved. Maybe some people in this room lost some people that they loved. And the pandemic also highlighted, in some cases made worse, problems we've been struggling with for years. An economy that works real well for folks right at the top, but not so well for ordinary people. Housing, I love you back, but I'm going to make this point. Housing prices that are out of reach for too many people. Here in Nevada, you know that better than most. Communities where too many kids are out of school, and then they're out of work, and then they're out of hope, And sometimes that leads them to violence or despair. And then you've got this erosion of just basic civility and democratic norms. You got politicians who, instead of wanting to bring people together, do their best to stir up division and make us angry and afraid of one another, all for their own advantage. And all of this gets amped up. It gets hyped up 24/7 on social media because they find it more profitable to stir up controversy and conflict than to lift up the truth and facts. And we've been seeing recent examples of this. Look, a friend of mine, Mr. Paul Pelosi, was attacked viciously. Somebody broke into his home looking for his wife, Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. And thankfully, I spoke to Paul a couple days ago, and he's going to be okay. But even as investigators do their job, find out what exactly motivated this person, one thing's clear. This increasing habit of demonizing political opponents creates a dangerous climate. And elected officials who do not explicitly reject or participate in over-the-top rhetoric, if that's what they're doing instead, if they just ignore or make light of that kind of violence, or if they encourage their supporters to stand outside voting places armed with guns and dressed in tactical gear, if that's the environment that we create, more people are going to get hurt. And we will be violating the basic spirit of who we are as a people. And by the way, let me just say, it is not just politicians now. I mean, we've seen just in the last few weeks, whether it's out of malice or ignorance, celebrities just posting up vile anti-Semitic statements on the internet. And it gets disseminated, and millions of people log on to that. I want to give you a tip, Nevada. I want to give you a tip. If you see or read something on the internet that says some people, certain kinds of people, whether it's white or black or immigrant or gay or Jew or Muslim, when you see something on the internet that says those people are the cause of your problems, that is a dangerous lie. That is a path that will tear this country apart. And so we have to reject that kind of thinking and that kind of rhetoric. And by the way, stop believing everything you read on the internet. So I get why people are anxious. Sometimes there's a mean spirit out there floating in cyberspace. And I get why you might be worried about the course of our country. I understand why sometimes it's tempting just to tune out. Just go watch football or HGTV or the Great British Baking Show, whatever you like. Or Real Housewives. I don't know what y'all watch. But I'm here to tell you, Nevada, that tuning out is not an option. Moping and feeling cynical is not an option. The only way to make this economy fair is if we, all of us, fight for it. The only way to save democracy is if we together fight for it. And that starts with electing people who know you and see you and care about you and believe in you. And that's what you did 2 years ago when you sent Joe Biden to the White House. He's fighting for you every day. He's got your back. He's doing everything he can to put more money in your pockets and to make your streets safer and to bring more good-paying jobs here to Nevada. That's what you did when you elected Steve Sisolak governor and made Catherine Cortez Masto the first Latina elected to the United States Senate. So now you need to do it again. Now you need to do it again. Because there may be a lot of issues at stake in this election, but the basic question that you should be asking yourself is who will fight for you? That's the choice in this election. Who will fight for you? Who will fight for working people who are struggling to pay the bills? Listen, inflation's a real problem right now. And by the way, it's not just here in the United States, worldwide. It's one of the legacies of the pandemic. It wreaked havoc on supply and demand and supply chains. And then you have a war in Ukraine that sent energy prices through the roof. So you see gas prices going up, grocery prices going up. That takes a bite out of your paycheck. It's no joke. It hurts. The question, though, you should be asking is, who's going to actually try to do something about it? Because if you watch these ads, Republicans, they talk about it a lot, but what's their answer exactly? What is their economic policy? No, they've got one. They want to gut Social Security and Medicare and then give their wealthy friends and big corporations more tax cuts. Because that's their answer to everything. I'm not joking. Literally, it does not matter what's going on. When inflation is low and unemployment is high, they want tax cuts. When it's the reverse, tax cuts. I was telling some folks in Michigan, if there was an asteroid headed towards Earth right now, they'd all get in the room. They'd say, you know what you need? We got to cut taxes for the wealthy. That's going to solve it. Really? I mean, I guess it's simple to just have one answer to every economic problem. You know, it's like, I remember, you know, when I had a test in math and sometimes I didn't study hard enough. Might have stayed up too late the night before, and it'd be nice if you could just write down 8 for every answer. You just have the same answer over and over again. Except, you know what? That's the wrong answer. And the Republican policies, they're not going to help you. But that's why Democrats actually have plans to take on drug companies to lower prices, to get the oil industry to clean up its act, to pass laws to make housing more affordable, to make sure big corporations are creating jobs in Nevada instead of overseas. They've got a plan. That's the choice in this election. That's what this is about. There's plenty. I love you back, but we got to focus right now. We got to focus. We got to focus. There's a lot of talk right now about crime. Now, violent crime has gone up over the last 7-8 years. By the way, it hasn't just been the last 2. They never talk about it when it went up under the other guy. You notice that? Funny how that works. And by the way, it's gone up not just in so-called liberal states, it's gone up in conservative rural areas too. But who will fight to keep you and your family safe? Is it going to be the Republican politicians who want to flood our streets with more guns, who actually voted against more resources for police departments? Or is it the leaders like Stephen Horsford and Dina Titus and Susie Lee and Catherine Cortez Masto, who worked with President Biden to pass the first major gun safety legislation in nearly 30 years? That's the choice in this election. That's what's at stake. Who will fight for your freedoms? Is it some of these Republican politicians and judges who think they should decide when you start a family or how many children you have or who you marry or who you love? Or is it Democratic leaders who believe that the freedom to make these intimate, personal decisions belong to every American, not politicians in Washington? You should be making those decisions. That's the choice in this election. That's what you have to decide. And finally, who is going to fight to make our democracy actually work for you? You know, Republican politicians, they've promised, I'm not making this up, they're quoted. If they get control of Congress, their big priority, their number one priority, they're going to spend the next 2 years investigating their political opponents. Some of them have said they're going to impeach President Biden. Now, they're not sure why. They're not sure what for yet, but apparently that's beside the point. Now, let me ask you a question. How's that going to help you pay your bills? How's that going to build more affordable housing in Nevada? How's that going to lower gas prices? Is that going to help you, or do you stand a better chance with President Biden and Democratic leaders who've worked together, sometimes with Republicans, to pass an infrastructure bill that creates new jobs, who are making health care and prescription drugs more affordable, who've made the single largest investment ever in fighting against climate change? That is the choice in this election. On the one hand, you got politicians who seem like they will do anything and say anything to get power, and leaders who share our values, who want to make your lives better, who want to move the country forward. And let me say this, Nevada. One of the difficult things about these kinds of rallies these days is sometimes this seems so partisan, as if it's just a Democrat-Republican thing. Look, my favorite president is a guy named Abe Lincoln, who helped found the Republican Party. It used to be that there were GOP members who championed progress and civil rights and rule of law. But these days, just about every Republican politician seems obsessed with two things: owning the libs and getting Donald Trump's approval. That's their agenda. They're not interested in actually solving problems. They're interested in making you angry and finding somebody to blame, because they're hoping that way you don't notice they don't have an agenda. They don't have answers. I can tell you what Steve Sisolak is obsessed with. He may be too modest to talk about himself. Here's somebody who comes from a blue-collar family, raised 2 daughters as a single dad, started his own small business from scratch, and if that wasn't enough, also cares for his 96-year-old mother. Now, so Steve makes the rest of us look like slackers. But you know what that tells you? It tells you that Steve knows what Nevadans are going through. It's why, as your governor, he expanded child care. That's why he worked to lower the health care costs and to give teachers their first raise in over a decade. He knows what it's like to struggle. He cares about folks who are trying to make ends meet. He wants to make a difference. Over the last few years, Steve has made a difference. It's why Nevada's had one of the fastest economic recoveries in the country. But he knows we're not out of the woods yet, which is why he's investing in things like affordable housing. That's why you've seen him fight for you. Now, Steve's opponent, I don't know who he's fighting for. He said he claims he's not a politician. But let me tell you, he sure acts like the worst kind. He says different things to different audiences, trying to play both sides. Somebody asked him, was the election rigged? He says, well, there was a modicum of fraud, but not enough to change the outcome. All right, well, was Donald Trump a great president? He's in a debate. Wait, don't boo. Vote. They can't hear you booing out there, but they'll hear your vote. So in a debate, this guy says, well, I wouldn't say great. But then, after the MAGA crowd got mad at him, puts out a statement saying, yes, by all measures, Trump was a great president. He says he would repeal Steve's executive order protecting women who come to Nevada to get an abortion. But then he changed his mind. As sheriff, he called for restricting high-capacity magazines. Sensible. But then, as a candidate for governor, he thinks that the gun industry should decide. Now, here's something you need to know about anybody you're thinking about voting for. I'm a White Sox fan. No matter where I go, in good times or bad, I'm a White Sox fan, and they've been bad lately. But you know, if Steve's opponent lived in Chicago, he'd be wearing a Sox cap on the south side. Then he'd wear a Cubs cap on the north side. Then maybe at a fundraiser, he'd wear a Yankees cap. Nevada, you don't need a governor who goes whichever way the wind blows. You need a leader like Steve who will tell you exactly what he thinks, what he believes. Because he understands the point of politics is not just to say whatever's going to get you elected, but to actually do what is right. That's the kind of person you need to support. Same thing with Catherine Cortez Masto. Third generation Nevadan. Grew up here in Vegas. Dad started out parking cars at the dunes. She and her sister were the first in their family to graduate from college. She knows what it's like to struggle and work hard. In the Senate, she succeeded my dear friend and her mentor, Harry Reid, who also, by the way, never forgot where he came from. She hasn't forgotten where she came from, which is why she's gone after big oil for high gas prices, why she takes on pharmaceutical companies to lower prescription drug costs. She's fought harder than just about anybody in Congress to make housing more affordable, because she wants to give every family the same opportunities that her family had. Now, Catherine's opponent, different story. What did I say about booing? You're going to vote. Don't boo. So Catherine's opponent, he moved to Nevada right before he ran for elected office. As a lobbyist, has made millions of dollars working for a firm that defended big oil companies. As Attorney General, fought to end investigations into big oil companies. So those are his peeps. That's who he listens to. I think it's fair to say he might be more interested in keeping them happy than he is fighting for you. And by the way, you don't have to take my word for it. A few weeks ago, 14 members of Adam Laxalt's family announced they were supporting Catherine Cortez Masto. 14. Think about that. Think about that. Now, let me say this. You know.
All right, so former President Barack Obama speaking there live in Nevada, Las Vegas. Looks like we just lost our shot there.